Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twilight Epiphanies Talk Radio with Cindy Magnuson. It's about to begin. So, slow down, take a seat, put your feet up, and maybe take some notes, because this show is about you, it's for you, and it is designed to help you receive exactly what you need to be a happier and healthier you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twilight Epiphanies Radio, episode number 33, with yours truly, Cindy Magnuson. And tonight I will be doing live EFT sessions, emotional freedom technique. And I am for those of you who are new to me, I am the founder of the C Technique EFT Plus and owner of C Source Energy Epiphanies, which can be found at thectechnique.com. So just a little bit also about my work. The C Technique that I do, which includes emotional freedom technique, also includes my other skill set areas, which are dream analysis, numerology, and Reiki energy work, and intuitive guidance. So last week I started with the portion of my work that I do, which was numerology, and then next week I'm going to be doing dream interpretation for anyone who calls in. So tonight, a little bit about emotional freedom technique before we begin. First of all, I do have an earlier show that I did. So if you go to my YouTube page, which is Cindy Magnuson, and you will see that in my first shows that I did, it was maybe episode 1 or 2, I have that one on emotional freedom technique, and it might even be listed as the C technique. So you will learn a little bit about emotional freedom technique from its basis, first of all. So all of the fundamentals about it and how it works. Tonight, I don't want to go deeply into that. I'm not even going to teach the listening audience how to do the tapping or what points to do that on. I'm just going to have you tap on whatever part of your body you feel comfortable with, and I'm going to be doing the tapping protocol here as a surrogate. If you are listening and you know the tapping protocol already, of course, just tap along. And why I'm saying tap along is that as you are listening to this at any time during or after this live recording, and I do recommend that you don't do this, listen to the portions of it while you're driving a car, because you really shouldn't go into this deeper of a meditative state while you're driving a car. So while you're listening to it again or here tonight in the audience, it's not possible for you to tap in someone else's set of particulars about where their conflict area is. So you can be in the audience there tapping along as I am doing the phrasing that I'm going to go into as I do a bit of a guided meditation with someone that I'm working with. And you will see that you can be receiving what they call borrowing benefits just by even tapping as I am in a meditative state that is going to be centered and coherent. So what I do in working and communicating with someone is working to have you become more centered and balanced, where we are opening up your central channel, which is your more creative aspect, your inner creative space. What I do generally with working with clients is that I work for an extended period of time, generally in a first session, because I want to be able to get to root issue and help to clear that root issue. And I'll call my first session more like an umbrella session, where I do a generalized tapping session with you. We clear away as much as will be removed in that first session, and then you work with more particulars following that. And what's wonderful about EFT is I'm working to get you independent to be utilizing this simple little format for yourself whenever you need it. So anytime you're working with me, it is a teaching experience for you to become independent. And how I use emotional freedom technique is my special little way that I have developed in working with it. So out of all the other skill sets that I have and my understanding of looking at how consciousness works and how trauma is stored in our physiology and in our energetic systems, and what that is doing as far as being a resonance inside us that's emanating a frequency out and tending to draw those similar frequencies toward you, sort of on a level that you're not conscious of. So I'm helping you to begin in EFT sessions is to be able to observe by observing the reality around you and what you generally react to. That's going to give you information about what is stored within you that is stored as some kind of similar to an old cassette tape that is playing with some kind of a program in it that represents generally a misconception, some kind of a trauma, a limiting belief system. So we are working towards removing that and replacing it by neutralizing it with affirming statements. So I work intuitively, I work logically, and then we move forward in whatever way that you're able to unfold. And EFT will work with you. Generally, bottom line is if you enjoy it. If you like the space of tapping on meridians of the body and can feel how that stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system and brings you down into a relaxed state, then you will adopt this method as a tool that you have with you at all times. Previous to the show here, I start to come on, the minutes are counting down, my heart rate starts to go up a little bit. I just simply start tapping on some of the facial points first of all and down onto my hands. And I'm saying, even though I'm feeling a little nervous, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling a little anxiety, that is okay. I am choosing to remember that I am giving my heart here, and this is simply done in love, and I can just simply do the best that I can. Amen. Or so be it. So basically, we work with phrasing, first of all, to say that even though I have this current conflict, I still am okaying it. I still love myself. Now, when you are in the audience there or a participant, if I say any words that aren't in direct resonance with what your comfort zone is, you will automatically see that. You'll switch them in your mind to what you're comfortable with. And that's the way it should proceed. So you will find that in these bit briefer sessions, it will present a little bit more of a challenge for me to get a little bit more deeper into the spaces that are hidden in there that have some core area that all these other episodes have been, placed on top of. Let's say, for example, someone is working with weight loss, and there was generally some childhood place where there was criticism done. So what happens then is we can have this cassette tape inside us with this whole general dialogue of the event that took place. And that tends to sit in there with that inner child hiding in there, and it is actually reflected into our lives. and how it's reflected into our lives is that we will find that we tend to run into circumstances and people around us who still say those words back to us. And that's how we want to read the environment to learn about what is inside us. We use our emotional reactions as a feedback to tell us, oh, I'm reacting to that. So I have a trigger about that. That really gets to me. Why does that really get to one person, but it wouldn't get to another person? And so we want to look for these little places where through dialogue, me asking questions, looking a little bit deeper in at whatever kind of a situation you may have conflict with at this time, whether it's in the physical plane, mental, emotional, spiritual pain plane, anything with relationship, finances, physical pain, career issues, work issues, anything that, possibly that you can think of that you're having an emotional block with, moving forward from generally has some kind of a root issue that's being held on to that we can, if we do some digging there, we can bring that up and find out what is that inner person in there, the root issue that first happened. And when you revisit that root issue as an adult, you can help that child confirm that it wasn't their fault and that they are wonderful, beautiful, happy, and joyful, creative children within you. And it's your intent now that they come forward and be with you in your heart and express themselves fully because you are there to keep them safe. So we look for these limiting beliefs and misconceptions because I find misconceptions all the time. So I am going to open up the line to a first caller. This is going to be caller 917 here. And hello, caller 917. And what is your first name? This is Cindy.
Hey, Cindy. Thanks for taking my call. My first name is Tim.
Hello, Tim. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. And so, Tim, with that in mind, first of all, can I ask, have you ever done emotional freedom technique before?
I've never done the emotional freedom technique. I've heard of it, but never done it.
Okay. And have you participated in any type of talk therapy or, a type of a counseling sessions, therapy, anything like that, so that you kind of have familiarity with going in a little bit deeper into issues in general?
I haven't done traditional therapy, but I've spoken to a few clairvoyant people, mediums here and there, different things. And the one thing they all tell me is that I have some inner child work to do and some root chakra work to do, where I'm kind of concerned about scarcity and living in lack and things of that nature.
Okay, very good. Okay. And so as you're calling in today, what would you say is the primary conflict area that you are seeking to move forward from? Is it this scarcity issue? And can you give me a little bit more details? As comfortable as you feel you want to, be open about.
Sure. No, it's definitely the scarcity issue. I'm trying to figure out my next move professionally. I kind of been stuck for the last however many years, working a job that doesn't serve me, and then it's kind of like a hamster wheel. I'm like, okay, but I need a job, so I'm working this one because it's paying, and then I show up every day and just like I'm being overworked and underpaid and unfair, fairly treated, but then I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Normal people would just go and find another job, but I'm kind of like, well, what exactly am I going to do translate into another job. So it's kind of like the negative thoughts of being broke and working a dead-end job constantly assault me. So I've been trying to do a little self-work. I've been meditating, trying to be consistently 15 minutes, listen to nature sounds, focus on my third eye, trying to do inner child work where I'm trying to see myself as a young 6 or 7 years old and telling myself that I'm supported and loved and it's okay. So that's what I've been doing.
And then have you thought of the type of career choice that you would move towards? Has that come to you, or is that also something that you're seeking?
That's also something that I'm seeking. I know two things. I am a people person, and a storyteller. I have some creative things in me. I'm just trying to figure out how that could be something monetarily, or how I can do something that brings my assets into play on a daily basis.
Okay, and what age are you?
You said what age am I? I'm 44.
Oh, yes, 44, okay. And what can I ask you, would it be all right if you gave your birth date? Do you feel comfortable with that? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, May 30th. May
and
30th,
what year?
1974.
Okay. 10, 11, 21, 3. Okay. So you are an 11 life path, for one thing. So generally when I do my sessions, it helps me to tune into a person a little bit deeper. First of all, your presence does come forward with a more gentle aspect of yourself. You have a very strong speaking capability, and people person. You are definitely, as you said, people person expression. When I heard you, I kept thinking of speaker, and then your birth date actually has 2 3s in it, which is self-expression. So, and there is a lot in there. You are an 11th life path, and 11 life paths generally tend to have a little bit more difficulty in finding what they like to do the most. But with this 11, you are definitely meant to have been inspired up into this spiritual space that you are working in right now. And so there's a lot of 8. Okay, you are 8 and 6 and 14 and then 8. Okay. So you're probably in an area where you tend to put yourself into a lot of different directions, yes, and having trouble with narrowing down what you would like to do. Now, I'm going to begin right away with a session of tapping. There's enough of a little bit information here so that I can begin to move into the fear spaces that are blocking. So generally, and when I say the word fear, I'm kind of getting a little bit more of a stronger vibration, sense. I can feel the fear increase when I say that. But there is within you the fear of the unknown at this point is strong enough so that it's semi-kept you in a space where it's better if you just continue along and you don't have to face something. So there's a fear, probably what's coming up is a little bit of a fear of a failure. Now, and that's so in applying yourself, so there's probably a dialogue inside that may have come from a childhood space. Especially when you have an 11 life path, you are exceptionally sensitive. But you do have a lot of the 8 energy around you. So you have which is very good. Even though you are sensitive, you can be very grounded at the same time. So that's a good thing. a fear space would come from, of moving forward here. If you were to say, I allow finances to increase, would mean that you would need to move into a different type of work environment. And that different type of work environment has, like you said, that root issue in your red chakra. So there is a lot of fear. Now, so go back to your childhood. If I were to ask you, just off the top of your head, what do you remember in childhood, just off the top of your head, at any age that first come to mind, was a traumatizing experience?
And that's a little bit of the frustrating part. I don't know if I just blocked out my early childhood when my parents separated. My parents separated when I was about six or seven, and I think that's where some of the abandonment and fear, a lot of it came from, because my mom had to get a job, and suddenly the come home, my mom being there and tending to us was gone. So I don't remember any trauma at that young age. I actually thought I was fine until I've been trying to figure out these things and seeing the patterns of me feeling a little abandoned. When I was an early teen, I moved. From one place, New York, to another, and that was pretty traumatic. And I now know that's because when you have abandonment issues, change is the worst thing in the world. And for me, it was leaving my old neighborhood and all my old friends. So that was maybe 11 or 12. But that's about as much as I remember. I just know that I somehow think I just blocked a lot of the stuff out when I was younger, around 6, 7, or 8.
Sure. And that's where a lot of your inner child, at 6 or 7 years old, the impressions that were going on at that time were very different generally from what our adult selves can remember. And because there was probably more responsibility placed on you, so there, I would say there's resistance to move, and there's a little bit of anger in there. So that it feels like there's a little bit of anger towards Father in there, and maybe we can help to shift that. And I almost feel like you possibly holding on to the anger from that moment as a younger child and not wanting to let go. And that has some kind of a link, I think, to you allowing yourself to move forward. I'm not exactly sure what that link is yet. Still can begin some work here. So with what I have already, I'm going to start to do a meditative session with you. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to place your hands over your heart.
Okay.
And you can begin with 3 deep breaths in through the nose, all the way down, and if you can, not having the belly raised, not having the chest raised, but your belly come out forward so that you're breathing low into the lobes of the lungs, and then exhale out slowly and begin to relax and allow yourself, in a sense, to drift slowly back to that 6 to 7 year old space. And then I'm going to have you keep your hands over your heart while I say 3 even though statements, and I'm going to fill it in. And then when I say begin tapping, you can simply tap on anywhere and the effect will still be there. A light to moderate tapping with either hand that you want, and you can just go into your inner self there. Now, before we begin, if I were to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, rating 10 as the highest anxiety possible, panic attack, needing to be hospitalized, what would you say your anxiety is currently regarding moving forward in finances?
I'd probably say around a 6, 7.
Okay, very good. Okay. Even though I have this issue of scarcity and a fear of moving forward into a career position that will sustain me amply and provide for me all my needs, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have these abandonment issues from childhood, and I am working through the emotions where I am not able to consciously remember all of the specific feelings I was having during those years and or the events that took place, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I am feeling at times in my life a bit of embarrassment and shame over not having resolved this, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And now, tapping anywhere, I'm choosing in the here and now and all dimensional spaces, past, present, and future, to release the trauma, the misconceptions, the feelings of guilt or blame that I took on for being needy at a time when my parents were going through a separation. I am choosing to allow healing, resolution, and peace to move into the past where I'm having difficulty remembering the root trauma that is in my root chakra, where I have feelings of fear of moving into the unknown. I realize that as a child, it is completely acceptable at that time that I did not have the proper guidance to move through the experiences and emotions that were taking place in my household. I am choosing forgiveness. I forgive myself for blaming myself. I forgive myself for feeling anger. I release all blame, shame, and guilt because I recognize and acknowledge that I am an immortal spirit in a physical vehicle. The time that has been allotted to me to heal these issues that are part of the reason I came into this incarnation are not on any other ones, any other persons, or any fast-paced healing process. I am releasing all definitions of comparing my journey to others. I am choosing to acknowledge that the most specific work I can do is to focus on myself and the true intentions that are very clear here as I have chosen to work in this session, that my intention is to move forward now because I am ready. I am choosing to forgive my parents, and in any spaces that I am unable to remember where I was feeling that my needs were not being met for the fear and the terror that I was feeling as things in my home were changing. I understand that if they were able to have reached their healing spaces of their own journey, they would have made different choices. I honor that there are reasons that I have chosen to come into my mother's womb and my father's being my particular parent for a reason, for my reason. I accept responsibility for this space. I choose to stand in this space and face the fear of the unknown. I am releasing the anger that has been pent up and kept inside. It is okay that I felt anger, even though I felt shame, that I needed to express how mad I was at my father. I am choosing complete forgiveness to myself. As being a child, I give understanding to these deep spaces within. I choose to heal. I choose to acknowledge my gifts. I choose to honor what I have to offer others. I choose to honor my people skills. I allow the universe and the energies of synchronicity to put me in alignment with the optimal, both awareness of what is best for me to move into and the wonderful synchronicity of positions and offers opening up to me. I allow nurturing, protection, sustenance, and complete support from all of the benevolent forces that brought me to life. And with your hands across your heart again, and in your inner's eye, I would like you now to ask that the inner child within you that is the most in need of healing to please come forward. And as that little boy comes forward, and you are smiling at him, and he is smiling back, and you kneel down in front of him and look him into his eyes and tell him it was not his fault and all of his feelings were completely acceptable, even his fear. That he is a remarkable young man. And together, being able to forgive the past. Lord, you are ready now. And as you open your arms and tell him how much you love him, wrap your arms around him and he is merged into your heart. And together again, I am joy. I am peace. I am courageous. I am successful. I allow complete monetary support in my life. I allow my gifts to be utilized in all ways possible. I allow complete support and nurturing. I am love. So be it. And here you can slowly take another deep breath in and bring yourself back up. Hmm. And how are you feeling, Tim?
I'm feeling good.
Okay.
In my heart, I know that I forgive my parents, my father. I now know that he was raised in trauma circumstances, so there was probably a lot of things that led to some of the split and the dysfunction, and I had a hardness in my heart for him for many years, and when I looked down in the casket when he passed, it kind of all evaporated, or so I thought, but I thought I wasn't carrying things still, but I feel good. I feel like I can move past all this.
Wonderful. Yeah, what takes place sometimes is that our adult self can heal, and sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to reach that inner child space, and it just takes a little bit of nudging. So if you were to rate your emotional feelings from here, how would you say you're doing right now?
Oh, from here I feel like a 10. Everything is light right now.
Light. Okay, very good. Okay. And what's nice is that, you will have this again to listen to and kind of look at how, if we have a type of an inner block that has a particular dialogue with it, if we use these little sequences of phrases to neutralize, and especially using the word allow, that's okay, it helps a lot to move us forward. So definitely very good. So, Tim,
I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. I wish you all the best. Okay, bye-bye now. Okay, and that was very wonderful. So, I do have another caller. I have a couple other callers on the line, so I'm going to open up to area code 917 next. And just before I do that, I will complete a little bit here. So in this format, as you can see, some of the key components to take place are, one, sometimes I'm able to, through intuition, be able to reach an area that's a little bit deeper. So, that little bit of potentially there was some anger being held on, and the inner child can have an effect on our adult life and us not realize that something is sitting in there. So, and the thing is, each one of us that tapped along, anyone else who's further going to listen to this again, we can reach an inner child place of even some other kind of completely different experience just within that little space. And part of what's taking place is that I've done my work for so long that I am aware that there is always a solution. I cannot ever guarantee how much time that solution will take to resolve, but in working with a situation, you always go in and just allow it to unfold as is. So basically what's taking place is that you simply begin the work, and I always work with whatever is right there on the plate. And right there on the plate has its evidence in other areas of our life as usually a signature energy story in there. So something that's usually blocking us is part of our bigger energy story. And we just simply work one session at a time, and then in between, now Tim has the opportunity, you have the opportunity to see this format and go back through these steps and work to find even some more specifics. So it's possible that you may have had some specifics come up, a memory come up in there. And if a memory popped into your mind during any session that you're doing with yourself or otherwise, that can be your aha moment, something that was suppressed inside you that you weren't aware had some significance in your current part of their journey that you're taking. So then if it was a trauma incident, you can go ahead and do a session with yourself and tap on that storyline and help to reassociate that past trauma with the calming effect. And as I was continuing here, what's happening is that I am in a coherent, no fear space and no doubt space that there is a solution. And you have the opportunity to tune in to my energy field that has a resonant coherence to it. And when you go into a coherent energy field, you are centered. It is easier for you to set an intention without it having a rebuttal. And that's what you're doing. You're screening your energy field for when, if I made a statement in a session and you heard a little voice say, oh, no, no, no. Now, when I'm in a session with someone, I will hear those voices also talking to you. Then we want to tap for the rebuttal that was given. Why did that voice come in and say, oh, no, no, it can't be that way? That's some misconception, some limiting belief that we found that was inside there, and that's what we want to work on. So we'll thank Tim again very much for his time. Now, I see that area code 917 does not have a question light on, so I'm assuming that, I'm sorry, it looks like then maybe you are just listening in. 917, if you did want to come on for an EFT session, you can hit the question button, and I can open up then and do a session with you. So otherwise, I have here area 805, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is Donna coming on with us. So I'm going to open the line up with you, Donna.
Hello?
And hello, Donna. Is this you? Or is this a friend of Donna?
How are you?
It is. Okay, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Just visiting my sister. It's nice to be around some people, you know.
Okay, so, and I knew Donna's name here because Donna had also had a numerology session with me last week. So you are the only other caller so far. So if there is anyone else out there who does want to call in, I probably will have time after this to do one more emotional freedom technique session. I'm going to do 20 minutes here with Donna, and then if there isn't anyone else interested in a session, okay, I see 917 did put their question mark on. Okay, I got that. I will get back to you right after I work with Donna then.
Yeah, and
okay.
That was the best numerology session I've ever had in my life. That was fabulous.
Well,
you tune in and you're so psychic when you do it, and you're so intuitive, and yeah, it was great. I'm going to have my sister call you. She's going to set up an appointment to have one with you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Donna. It was a wonderful evening. I had lots of fun doing it. So glad to have you back then. I'm looking forward to working with your sister. And then have you ever done emotional freedom technique before?
No.
Okay, so this is new, but you were listening in and you have the format.
Yeah.
So, okay. And then at the moment, I do so many readings, so I don't remember your specifics of your numerology, but can you start with them what conflict area you are looking at working with to resolve today?
Mine is I'm overweight, I have gone on shake diets and lost all my weight, and then I put it back on. And I think it has to do with the childhood, all the hard childhood I had, all the negativity, the put downs, the emotional abuse, and then and then I've had 2 episodes with physical abuse, not with my family, but somebody else, and I think it has a lot to do with that I keep this weight on.
Okay, so you can feel it. Okay, more as a protection. Okay, and have you lost let's go to let's go to the first time that you found that you were overweight and you wanted to lose weight and you successfully did. Can you take yourself and your mind back to that point?
Okay, the point where I was the heaviest and I took it off was about 4 years ago.
Okay. And did you go all the way back down to where you were comfortable?
No, I would have liked to have gone another 20 pounds, 30 pounds.
Okay. And in your memory then, can you determine what the particular energies were, emotions that had you stop working on your discipline? Can you remember what was going on in your life at the time?
I'm trying to think. Not too much. I mean, I wasn't in a relationship or anything like that. I did have some disappointment. I was supposed to go help somebody out, and the person had promised me for like 10 years. Betrayal, I would say. There was betrayal.
Okay. Okay. And so at that time you were, and what would you say in regards to maintaining a healthy program of weight loss? What do you have the most difficult with? Is it determining food eating, or is it exercise that's more difficult to stay with? Which one would you say, or is it a little bit of both?
Probably the food. It's a little bit of both, but probably more the food. I'll just have comfort food and say, oh, I don't care. I'm going to watch TV and I'm going to enjoy myself and eat the things I like, and yeah.
Okay. And is it, and what particular type of food do you tend to eat the most? Is it sweets or salty food? Snack food? Is
ice cream, crackers, cheese, stuff like that.
Okay. And have you looked into the information about what those types of foods do to our physical body in general?
No.
Okay. And then when you work at weight loss, what type of a program have you followed so far?
Walking on the beach for an hour or swimming in a pool for like a half hour. It's either walking or swimming.
And in general, regarding food, what type of a food diet program do you generally follow that brought you that weight loss 4 years ago?
The Sansom Clinic HMR diet, where it's supervised by a doctor, and you have 5 shakes a day. And I did that for 4 months, and 3 months, and I lost 40 pounds.
Okay. Okay. And were you planning on staying on those shakes, or once you lost the weight, your plan was did you have a plan in effect to eat a healthier diet then after that?
No, because they do have a program that you go into for a year, and then you go every week, you weigh yourself, and they teach you about, regular eating and all, but I didn't have the $900 to go into that at the time, which I should have. But I didn't, yeah. So that was my big mistake, I think.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, just for a little advice, there is a great deal of information online about foods are our worst saboteurs and how to sort of begin with changing our diet slowly so that we begin to detoxify and then we maintain, maybe taking out some of the bad food, putting some good foods in until that starts to get us on a good roll. And basically once we remove the foods, and just for your awareness, dairy and then grains, especially the lesser grains, dairy is probably the number one worst saboteur. So you do want to be careful with that. So just as information for everyone to know, sometimes if we can at least maybe pick one area and begin to let go of that and replace it with the easier things like, like if you like ice cream, there even is a coconut ice cream and there is a cashew ice cream. There's non-dairy ice creams that we could start to, put different foods. But however it goes, now, if I were to ask you in childhood then, what first comes to mind as one of the still heaviest feelings of childhood pain you can remember, any time frame that just first comes to mind? A pattern in childhood that leaves you still feeling sad?
Well, I recall when I was like 7 years old, going on the side of my house, sucking my thumb, and just crying. I think the emotional abuse was just horrible, and my parents fighting all the time, and it was sad.
Okay, so there was a heavy amount of fighting all the time, and then there wasn't the emotional support that you needed to feel safe?
Yeah, I didn't have any.
None.
I didn't have any support, no.
Okay. And was it only emotional abuse at the time? Is that all that it basically was? There was no physical or other abuse? Okay.
No.
And that feels all comfortable, meaning I don't feel anything hidden from you that you don't remember, so that all feels correct. And how have you gone through any counseling or a type of therapy of any kind? I know you are in little circles that you're doing and probably working on, healing spaces slowly, but have you looked into any of these emotional spaces otherwise?
I've had therapy before, one-on-one therapy. I have done that. I did that about a couple of years ago, but when my nephew died 2 years ago, he was young, 18, and he died, so that was hard. But, I just do it for a while, and then I feel I don't need it anymore because it's just very repetitive, and, I don't know if I like therapy too much, to tell you the truth.
Okay. And in this situation of betrayal, that situation is that's very good information there. So even just saying that, I get a teary feeling, but there's a strong resistance to not go into that teary space. So was that a space where you felt like someone was going to finally help you get out of a very limiting situation where you felt trapped? So this
the person was an elderly person, and I had been helping him and talking to him every day on the phone, and I didn't do that because of that. I really loved this person, older person. He was in his 90s, but he had always promised me that he was going to leave me his house and this and that, and this went on for so many years, and then nothing. It's like he was telling me all this, and I had all these great hopes, and oh my gosh, this is wonderful, and because he had no kids or family, but then it never happened. But now, whether or not he did it, I don't think he did it on purpose. He just never did it. He never did his will. but it was betrayal in a way I felt because he told me this for so many years, you know?
Okay. So okay. So what we want to do is bring your emotional center, your emotional body back to a little bit more of an independent, self-nurturing place. And it is likely then that the inner child in here has even the emotions with the parents, resentment. And again, your adult feelings may be different from what you remember feeling as a child. So obviously then there is probably a great deal of betrayal feelings as a child and emotions of resentment. And then and of course then unworthiness. So there's probably a great deal of which is very common, unworthiness that you didn't have the parental figures that were nurturing you. And then when there was another basically type of parental figure here who you were giving your all to and didn't reciprocate. So we're going to help to detach from the emotions of that place of feeling betrayed so that there isn't a continuing belief system that no matter what I do, I'm still going to not receive back or get betrayed. So we'll work with breaking that potential pattern in here as part of what we want to move towards is your independence. And I believe that everything also about your life pattern is about you being independent and you love yourself. So some of the objective perspectives here that I can have are that if I'm working with someone and I see that they have that childhood pattern, then another pattern, then what you could be meant to move towards is to love yourself without needing any of these other situations around you. You're going to do it for you to receive direct and not to be needing even to have anyone else around you that you're doing it for. Oh, yes, I remembered you talking about relationships. Is that correct? Yes. Yes. So again, okay, so now it's coming back to mind a little bit. So this theme of independence, and we talked about these changes coming up potentially with love coming around in a couple of years. So the 6 also, as I mentioned, is about self-love. Yes. So the best thing to do in as far as receiving an optimal relationship is, of course, to have that self-love established to where you can sustain yourself without needing something else. Okay? That is a little bit of a resistive space within you, and it's linked somehow also in here with the, sort of self-sabotage with the weight, the weight. So it's like, why bother? Because no one's coming along to save me. And when all along, you're right there ready to save yourself.
Yeah, that makes
Okay. So if I were to ask you then in regards to your emotions toward this feeling about weight loss and self-sabotage here and how you feel about yourself right now, what would you say on that scale of 1 to 10 your anxiety level is towards this?
Probably about an 8.
Okay, pretty high. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll begin to go into an emotional freedom technique session here. So, the same as I did with the first person that I worked with, I'm going to have you put your hands across your heart and begin with taking 3 deep breaths in through the nose, expanding the belly out, and then exhale out the mouth. And as you're doing those slow, deep breaths, beginning to relax, feel a calming sensation. And again, your hands are over your heart. Even though I am currently still overweight and am continuing to eat foods that are sabotaging a weight loss program, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though 4 years ago, when I was working towards improving myself and feeling for even maybe the first time that everything was going to work out for me, and I was going to find the happiness that I am seeking out of having a special place and something given to me out of love, where I was giving love and believing that love was going to be granted back to me in an act of kindness. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have very difficult trauma, memories, energetic situations within my energy field of significant and sometimes severe emotional abuse that took place in my home as a child, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I had additionally a situation later on of actual physical abuse, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I am choosing in the here and now and all dimensional spaces, past, present, and future, to release these emotions of shame and guilt and unworthiness out of the emotional abuses that I experienced as a child. I am choosing to release through forgiveness deep into these suppressed places where patterns of expectations about life became conditioned programs that are still to some degree steering the conditions in my life. I forgive myself for being overweight. I forgive myself for being critical about how I look, how I act. At times, the awkwardness that I may have felt. I forgive myself for these impressions, for these experiences of feeling humiliated. I am choosing to acknowledge the pain and suffering that my child self experienced, I am choosing to honor and take responsibility fully as my adult self is reaching out to this inner child space, that together we can heal this root issue that we have chosen in our higher self to come back, incarnate, and seek deeper meaning and resolution of the fears of moving forward into self-love, self-worthiness, self-nurturing, where the words were expressed in my home that I wasn't worthy of love, that I would not amount to what I was feeling about myself, what I could be, where my needs and emotions were not being met with love and gentleness and caring. I acknowledge the trauma and the grief and suffering. I am choosing to reach this inner child's heart so she can know the truth. In my adult self here, I am choosing to forgive and help this child to understand that the weaknesses her parents were expressing are not a reflection of who she is, that she is beautiful, she is entertaining, she is fun, she is smart, and most of all, out of all of this, she truly cares. I am choosing to release the feelings of angst and anger and deep, deep hurt of betrayal, where a friend had expressed his reciprocating verbal agreement of what he wanted to grant to me in monetary value for sharing my time and giving my time. I am choosing to forgive for whatever reason this experience took place as such. It is not a reflection of who I am. I am choosing to not resist the experiences thus far in my life as they have progressed. I am choosing to observe the opportunities that these experiences are affording me to return to the inner strength of self-love and self-nurturing, and allowing the universal forces, the God energy, to support and nurture me fully. I allow healing to take place. I allow my courage and strength to return. I'm releasing self-doubt because it is not serving any purpose. I choose to acknowledge these lessons as initiations to move me back to my center, where I gave more power to others. I now return the power and the direction of my life to nurture and sustain what my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies all need in order to return to a state of homeostasis and balance. I acknowledge that there are great sources of information available for free regarding how to properly move back into a space of harmony with the food that I am intaking, where food is sabotaging my progression back into who I know myself to truly be. I am choosing to open the door to learning what foods are best for me to be adding and what foods are best for me to slowly be eliminating. I allow myself this new journey into self-love. I acknowledge the strength of my true higher self to step this deep into these deep pains that have been stuck here in this underworld space, for me to retrieve and regain my own sense of self, where I can love myself enough without needing others to do for me. I acknowledge that in this space then, I become attracted to others who are also secure. And in that, I draw harmony into my life as I release these patterns from the past. And with your hands across your heart and with your inner eye open, you can ask the child that has the most to do with this healing to come forward. And as she steps forward there, you kneel down in front of her, acknowledging with her that you are here with her now to keep her safe. She doesn't have to be afraid of who is going to let her down and not provide for her the love that she is seeking. That each and every time she was disappointed and left her heart open and it was disappointed, that she now is safe in your arms and you are here with her, and in complete forgiveness for all parties involved. Together, you're acknowledging that it was not her fault, that she is beautiful and remarkable, a wonderful person, that the perfect person for her is waiting out there and ready to meet her. That together you are allowing nurturing relationships as you choose to continue this step-by-step unfolding and the work that will be involved to maintain an adherence to a program of believing in self and the strength to nurture self-love so deep that we don't actually need anyone else to love us to know we are a wonderful person. We are so beautiful. And you wrap your arms around her as you tell her how much you love her. And she is absorbed into your heart. And together, you are ready for more joy and happiness. I am love. I am peace. I am serenity. I love myself. And anything that I wish to change and move into, I allow myself to be guided and nudged and directed and sustained in achieving what I wish to achieve. So be it. Amen.
So be it. Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, I felt myself crying a lot. I went through sadness, but then I felt a strength and a peace that came to me during that, and that was beautiful. And oh, wow, that was amazing.
Okay.
Very, very nice. Very helpful. Wow.
And wonderful, Donna. Very, very good. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing with us here and helping others out. And have a blessed rest of the evening to you.
Thank you. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, and so I will be opening up to caller 917 right away, and we'll begin right away so that we can finish this up here. And hello, caller 917. How are you, and what is your first name?
Hi, my name is Lisa.
Okay, hello, Lisa. And you have been listening into most of it, so do you have a little bit of a feel of how we're progressing here? Okay, very good.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, and have you ever participated in something like this before, or is this a first time?
It's new.
Okay, very good. Okay, and what can I help you with tonight? Can we work on together?
Yes, I would like to work on a situation where I'm looking for a new job for a long time now, but I'm still at the same job and I feel a little bit stuck over there. Like, when am I going to get out of there? It feels like I need to leave, but I don't have anything else in place that will give me a good feeling to leave, so I'm staying there. That's what I would like to work on.
Okay, and how long have you been at this one place?
For 2 years.
Okay, and so far, okay, so I'm getting a strong sensation of a little bit lower than your throat chakra being kind of compressed. So it's a little bit between your heart chakra and your throat chakra area. So I'm feeling a very heavy oppression in there. So behind that, there's also a great deal of emotion stored in there. So there's a lot of sadness and emotion stored in there.
Yes.
So there's kind of a feeling it gets is that if you, in a past situation, whether it was childhood or it was in genetics or some past life place, programming of whatever kind that possibly conditioning come on, that if you spoke up or if you even progressed forward, someone was getting angry. It could have even been a family pattern between parents or authority figures someplace else where there's a lot of oppression if you're moving forward. So that feels like, meaning that it feels like if you move forward, there's going to be danger. Or if you speak out and express yourself, okay, that makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any past trauma that happened to your chest? Were you ever stuck struck in the chest or maybe pushed hard?
No trauma.
Okay, nothing physical, so it's an emotional. Okay. Okay. What would you say so far? You have been there for 2 years, and what age are you right now?
I'm over 35.
Okay, perfect. And would you, what so far methods have you done to attempt to find a new job? How many, different places have you sought? What would you say
just applied.
What would you say your okay? So you've applied. What would you give yourself percent-wise as an effort level to do that? Has
100%.
your heart been 100%? Okay, so you 100% are feeling that you worked very hard at it, and it's not coming along. And have you been in this situation before where something has come up? Okay. So if you were going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, then what kind of a scale would you say is the anxiety over you moving from this job?
Not
on a
much.
scale of not much.
0.
So,
I don't mind moving out of here.
oh, okay. No,
Go.
what I mean is that what is the anxiety level that you feel in a fear within you about a job coming in that's going to take you out of it? How much fear and anxiety do you have over it? So I see that you definitely want to go. Your intention is to go. So we're going to take a look at, I'm trying to get to a little bit more of the specific blocks. So how much anxiety are you experiencing over a job not coming in? Like sometimes,
Yeah, that's a pretty high. I would say, like, since I've been holding it for so long, it's like, yeah, that's pretty high.
Okay, so you're in the 8 kind of an anxiety over needing to move.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, and so and would you say that the feeling to move, is it your psychological health maintaining there? Is it hurting you psychologically more, or is it hurting you financially more being there?
No, hurting me emotionally more.
Emotional. Okay, got it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you would say that your self-esteem in this job is slowly getting more difficult for you to feel good about being there. Is it a critical situation?
No.
Okay. Well,
no, it's not my self-esteem. It's just that I'm outgrown this job and I'm bored.
Okay, so you are bored.
I've outgrown it. I don't belong there anymore. I want to do other things.
Okay. And on one hand, you are saying that you have a high enough appreciation of self to recognize that you you've outgrown this in a way that it's not fulfilling, in a sense it's sort of below you?
Yes.
Okay. So in being below you and you acknowledging your skill level, that now a normal place like that. So what I'm trying to move towards is that a normal place like that, someone who acknowledges that their skill level is higher than where they're presently at, would generally have enough self-confidence to move right into something else. So there's kind of a heavy energy feeling about you being there and being in a place that you don't feel is acknowledging you for who you are.
Yeah.
So okay, so okay. So that and there are specific, what I'm kind of sensing and trying to express the words more accurately for what those emotions are. And I would say, from what I'm sensing, there's a great deal of frustration over that you're feeling because the people around you don't want to acknowledge you as much as you are aware that you could be acknowledged for what capabilities you have. And that's kind of that's the energy field that looks like that's the energy story that is behind there. And then and it's potentially then in that place there's a little bit sometimes of these steps that kind of happen inside us. So not only are you feeling frustrated, but you may also feel, and again, this is acceptable, these are facts, but you may feel a lot of anger with these other people because they're not recognizing you. And in that anger then, sometimes anger, now we'll have an anger reaction, but when we have a conscience over having an anger reaction, well, now we start to feel, we bring our vibration down because we disappoint ourselves for being angry.
No, I already worked through that anger. I don't have that anymore. Now I'm basically just hanging in there. I'm just holding myself. I used to have anger, but that's gone.
Okay, so that was a definite energy pattern in there. Okay, and okay. Well, I'm going to say that there's a big energy signature in there about that anger, and so you have a very articulate sense about you, and I would say that in the inner child situation, then there's probably a frustration level of not being recognized, and somewhere in there, whatever that space was. So let's take you back to a childhood space and help to free the child's space, because the child potentially still feeling. So let's say you're a child and you maybe have I'm just going to throw out an example that can maybe help for the energy story. So you have parents and they're very poised and everything is very controlled as to how everything looks in the family. So a child comes along that's very expressive and is maybe expressing a moment out in public where you're very angry and having a temper tantrum, and those kinds of feelings then get completely squashed, and you're told that you're weak for having those energies. And I'm not saying this is your exact situation, but this is the type of energy that can have taken place, where then the child has true anger towards the people who are trying to deny some of the child's full potential and expression and saying, no, you can't do that. You have to just be this composed the way we want you to be. And then that can set up a situation where you end up then in work environments or working with other people where the inner child is going to have the opportunity. You as the adult can see that the inner child gets angry when other people don't recognize what the inner child's doing. Okay?
Right.
And so and then that and this will continue this can continue in different scenarios down the line until, I mean, it's not even maybe just an inner child space, but this is, even going back, can go back to, very many deep spaces. So, and that first feeling of that repression over the, the chest area that I was feeling. So there is a big imprint in there, and I'm going to say, okay, you have high capabilities, okay, but generally the pattern that more than likely has fallen into a lot of places is that sometimes even there's parents who can't acknowledge the high level of the child. So it gets repressed that way. That's also a second energy signature. And so then the inner child's always looking for the environment to say, hey, wow, you're amazing. Wow. And it gets that it's a little bit of a neediness for it, and that's that inner child trying to replace all that time when there was just repression. And a lot of times that's a parent's fear. A parent doesn't know what to do with it. A parent just has other things going on. So then we can find ourselves in those situations. So the healing aspect can be, for the child to acknowledge, the personal gifts. And in a roundabout way, we kind of, there's going to have to be like a little bit of a back door in here that will help a little bit. So what I call this like backdoor spaces here is that we can work to help you with a phrasing that's going to take the edge off of a need to feel acknowledged. And what sometimes we can do is one, you always should be moving into areas where your work can be acknowledged and will be acknowledged. And you will step forward into those spaces as you allow them. But
it used to be really bad. But at least I get some kind of acknowledgement here, but it's still horrible that I'm just not able to grow here.
Yeah.
Because they bring me down. Because they need me there. They need me there.
Yeah. And here is
because
the
I'm
situation.
doing most of the work for them to get them to where they need to be. So they're keeping me, but I don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah. And your full other level of yourself is, in a sense, that's almost a punishment level that you may even feel guilty about for feeling like you need to move forward and want to be recognized. So a little bit of a blanket statement that we can place, in here is, and it's going to sound a little bit odd, we want to say every person has a special skill and a particular place that they belong in. Every single person has a place. Every single person has a special skill, and I am happy to know that other people also have special areas that can even assist me.
Right.
Okay. And that in there is a little bit of a place because you can assess a whole lot altogether, and in a sense, there's a few different things. There's, sort of a punishment for you thinking that, you're better and can move on, and you're self-punishing a little bit through maybe even repeating how you were repressed from feeling safe to acknowledge what you wanted to do. And then part of that can carry out and block you from moving because, well, how can we feel that we deserve more if we're having these negative thoughts? And that's what we want to dissipate with. Everyone belongs somewhere. And I acknowledge, we're going to, help to break that barrier. I acknowledge the wonderful work that my coworkers are doing, and I acknowledge that by all the information here that I am aware of, it is time for me to move on, and it will benefit everyone.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. And that is a truth. And now you want to know that what I just stated is the true feelings from your true self that you have about it. So we're going to have to release that guilt of, when we are feeling like we have to identify with ourselves as being more or better or, moving away from something. And, the group kind of tries to pull us back in. That's kind of a sticky place. So we want to gently acknowledge that it's always better for everyone, that everyone moves to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't
So
want to hold it together.
Okay. So let's have you put your hands across your heart, and we'll begin here. Even though I have this situation where I am feeling anxiety over finding the next job position to move into, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though potentially there are within here portions of my own childhood experiences of feeling repressed when I was wanting to be acknowledged for my voice, my ideas, my emotions, my feelings. I believed in myself to be. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I might still be moving through portions of anger and feelings of guilt, frustration, very good, and feeling self-conscious,
feeling emotional pain.
Okay. Go on.
Feeling anxious, feeling bored, feeling sick, of feeling unhappy, deeply unhappy. And I don't know what to do with myself. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself, even though I can do so much better than this job, and I don't get hired anywhere else, and they don't recognize me. I deeply love and accept myself anyway. These
Yes.
stupid people
Okay.
see the gifts that I have to offer. They're hiring the wrong people, and they're not hiring me. I deeply love and accept myself anyway. Even though I'm angry that I'm not getting hired, that I'm not the one, I deeply love and accept myself anyway. I just feel so frustrated that I'm not getting hired anywhere. Where else do I go? I deeply love and accept myself anyway. Even though I'm still at the same job, doing the same things that I don't like to do,
Okay.
stuck in that room.
Okay. Very good. So you are in that space now. Do you choose to release this?
Yes, I choose to
Do you
release
choose
it.
to release this anger? Okay. I am choosing in the here and now, and you can begin tapping anywhere, in every dimensional space, past, present, and future, to release this emotion of pent-up anger from anywhere that it has been stored within my inner universe. I release that to the truth that I am capable, that others do recognize me, that I am worthy of being recognized, that it is safe to ask to be recognized. And when I release myself from this expectation of how life will be due to conditioning in earlier years in my life, I allow the recognition of who my inner being can bring to the table in any job position that is able to utilize the special skill sets that I have.
Right.
I acknowledge that it is my personal inner work, first of all, to not resist the healing that is needed to release the anger and blaming others for me being in this position. I do take full responsibility for this job position situation being in my hands. I acknowledge it is okay to be this angry and frustrated. I acknowledge this potentially is still my inner child moving here and having this old trauma record still being played inside me. I am choosing to forgive the others who I believe were suppressing my skills or taking advantage of the work I do or making me feel guilty for staying when I should be moving on. I choose to forgive myself for the anger that I have felt and the frustration and the boredom. I acknowledge the boredom that I was feeling at times in my childhood when I just wanted more and more and more. And I was told, or it was expressed to me, that I didn't need to feel that way. And it made me so angry. I was so mad. And I wish they would have listened. And I forgive them for not listening to me. And it is okay that it caused me great pain and hurt and sadness that I didn't get to do the things that I really wanted to do. It is okay that I felt this. It is okay to have had this pain. And I'm choosing now to release this inner pain, to hug this inner child, to allow her to grow with me. And first is my work of release. I am releasing this old pattern on all levels of myself. I allow the doors to open to the optimal job position where all parts of me can express myself to their fullest potential, and even having to challenge me, because I love to be challenged and then acknowledged for having met that challenge. I allow love to heal this inner space, my pattern, my reason for being here, my choice to work with this particular energetic signature in this incarnation. I acknowledge my responsibility. I enjoy this new challenge of self-dominion, of self-care, of self-resolution. I take this on as my new inner challenge to work with my mental self, the mental aspects, to discipline my mind, to work with gentle conversation and loving conversation to self. I allow the optimal position into my life to satisfy all that I am meant and can give here in experience. And with your hands over your heart, and if you will ask inside for the inner child that has the most to do with this particular inner pain and resolving this area of conflict, to please come forward. And when you see her, you kneel down in front of her, and she is so ready, and she is so happy that you're here again, and that she feels safe and loved and secure about expressing her full capacity and desires, her passions, her interests, and all that she chooses to experience. And that you're here to wipe her tears away where she was sad and frustrated, and to release that fire, that anger, and now manifest that into positive creativity, to nurture, to connect to the earth, to sustain, to bring nurturing and guidance to you in all ways. And as you look into her eyes and tell her how much you love her, it was not her fault. And together you are ready to release this pain that was in your heart and your voice to be heard. And that it's safe to fully breathe with arms wide open, face towards the sun, circling in joy and receiving in all directions. And as you wrap your arms around her, she merges into your heart. I am love, I am peace, I am creativity, I am in the perfect career. I am happy being recognized. I am happy recognizing others. I am happy for others receiving recognition. And I am happy in receiving the recognition I now have. So be it. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, I used to have a teacher who he recognized me, and I was very impressed with him that he was recognizing me. I was impressed. I was like, wow, actually recognizes me. And there was another woman that recognized me. Yeah, my boss recognizes me, but not openly, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
and You're welcome. And you can utilize those exact energy memories between you and those people who recognized you to hold that vibration when you say, I allow myself to move to the next job position, and merge yourself with those frequencies. Go into that comfort space to finish allowing that healing to take place. That's a very good.
Yeah, I really,
yeah.
I really need that teacher and give me more of that, and then I can maybe. I'm giving it to myself already, but I'm not an island on my own. I do work. I want to, today I had some conversation with somebody outside of the hospital that totally acknowledged my work. And I was like, wow, so impressed with her that she actually acknowledged the work. Very impressed with her. I'm like, really is this, but it's outside of the hospital where I get acknowledgement. Inside, it's more like when I'm trying to do something, I get more punished than help, support around what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yes. Yeah. I was feeling that. So, yes. Well.
So what is the next step then? What do you do to help? What do you do if I were to work with you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do this type of work?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then I have, other means of, I can look at numerology. If there are any dreams you're having, we can look at that. Sometimes I dream for a client, and then we continue with, as you're progressing along, let's say I was working with you once a week for a couple weeks in a row. We work on whatever the most prevailing space is that's still giving you that conflict, that anxiety feeling, and then we work from there. So during the week now, and from this, you can continue to do tapping sessions with yourself. There is a graph that I put up under the description of the show, and the tapping, points, and so the audience knows there are different protocols for tapping, but as long as you're tapping on either one of those, what's most important is your intention to stop doing anything else and sit down with your focus only on the healing and resetting yourself. So when fear has gotten away with you, what I did was, I slowly worked getting to the inner child here, and then helping, and when the inner child's hurt, even the inner child feels better, like, yeah, I am feeling that, but it's safe to feel that. Well, now we can start to clear the self-doubts out. So I look at anything that I'm sensing or perceiving has self-doubt. And then when we set that intention and I'm holding a belief for you, I could kind of get a feel for how your energy centers were responding back in while I was stating some of those phrases. And then I can quantify if there's some type of a rebuttal still in there. Then I would ask you, did you have any memories in there? Or did you have any, voices come in and say, oh, but what about this or that? Or, oh, that's going to happen. And then those are the specifics that we work on. And as we unravel it generally tends to go a little bit deeper. I do courses, I work with people over 4 weeks, and by the end of 4 weeks, I can't believe what pattern has been in that root situation that has filtered into so many different areas sometimes. And it's fascinating that you find that you do have the ability, if you can read your environment and your emotions with it, you can find these inner conditioned programs and you can resolve them. And literally, I have done sessions with people where just from doing a session and not even having talked with other people at times, events just unfolded because you actually can place yourself into a completely different timeline now, a more positive timeline, as you take yourself out of this old repeating time loop. And that's what you're here for. this pattern you're working through is what you came here for, to work through this. So you're doing everything exactly as you should. So yay. It's an opportunity. Yes, it's an opportunity to clear old places that have been stuck with emotions, and we come back, and it helps us to be our more divine self here, and we create more self-love as we weed out these heavier amounts of what's been stored inside us. As you know, we're mini universes walking around. We have genetic memory, epigenetics, we have past life spaces, we have childhood traumas, we have younger self situations put on that. We don't realize the toll of it until we start to reconnect the dots together between cause and effect. Oh, that triggered me. That means I have something in there and I have control over that. So we take the power back into our hands to understand our path through reality. And there's always going to be new situations coming up because our future that we're walking through is still based on past decisions we've made, even in other places. But our response is so different to them as we progress here and become more evolved in our soul's journey. So you're reconnecting to Source, believing in that sustenance and believing you deserve this position, and we want to release all those negative emotions that were blocking it.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
very
well. Can only do so much.
A little at a time. A little at a time, and just observe it as it continues to unfold. Well, in about 3 minutes here, we're going to maybe get a loud beep on the show that's going to tell us that the 2 hours is up. What is that?
The Technique is your website, the C Technique?
Yes, and that's THESEE.
Yeah, I got it.
.com. Yes, and now you can reach me through there. I'm even on Facebook under Cindy Magnuson, and everything is underneath the show description, so you can find that online. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Lisa. Yes, reach out anytime.
Thank you so much for today.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you for sharing with us. Okay, bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay, everyone, so we are down to 1.5 minutes here, and we're going to end the show. So thank you, everyone, for joining us and participating in that wonderful examples there. I hope those in the listening audience tonight and those to come in the future were also able to benefit. And next week's show, I'm going to be doing dream analysis. So have your dreams ready, anyone who's ready to call in. And I will see you then. Have a beautiful and blessed week. Bye-bye now.